The Barrel House is brought to you by you, the listener, and those of you who have chosen to support the show over at patreon.com/barrelhouse, especially our Whiskey Legend tier patrons, Greg, Katie, Lauren, and Joe. Without you, the show wouldn't be possible. Hello, and welcome to the Barrel House. Yes, and welcome back to the Barrel House. I am your host, Joe Kane, and today we're going to get into a pretty special rye. Also, I think maybe the show's first official rye episode. I'm not entirely sure. I don't remember. I'm not a huge rye guy, but I am very excited for this one, and I can't wait to talk to you about Michters Barrel Strength Rye. But first, some housekeeping. This week, the live stream will be on Saturday instead of Friday. A little bit of life got in the way, but I'm sure it'll be a fun one either way. And the live stream following that, and I believe the one after that, will have guests. So things are lining up, and I'm getting pretty excited for all of that. On the last live stream, we got to play with some really fun cocktail smoking toys and smoke some whiskey and see if we can make some non-smoky whiskey taste a little smoky. And that was interesting, but it looked very cool. So if you didn't catch that, you can get the live stream VOD, the video on demand there of it. The archive is the word I was looking for, up on the YouTube, and check that out. It's totally worth checking out at least a little bit of it and seeing what that looked like. It was very cool. Also, there will be 2 new episodes of The First Sip up on Patreon in the coming week. I've got a couple filmed. I just have not been able to edit them yet. So get ready for that. And there are a couple pretty good ones that you should be excited for. I have a episode for the Ardbeg and an episode for the Lagavulin Nick Offerman edition 11-year whiskey finished in Guinness casks. So look for those on the Patreon at patreon.com/barrelhouse in the coming week. Now, on to the business. The Michters Barrel Strength Rye. So the Michters Barrel Strength Rye is a no-age statement whiskey. The bottle I have here is 56.1% alcohol by volume, and it is cask 22B423. This is not a yearly release, so get them while you can. They're not super easy to find, and they're not really even possible to find at MSRP, so prepare for that. We'll get into that later. Michters' whole thing with this is that, well, one, the age on this must be relatively significant because this stuff is the color of used motor oil. It's very dark. I'm not sure what it is. I'm not sure what they got going on there, but it's dark. It is a dark caramel color. The other thing is they've got this philosophy behind their rye here where they put it in the barrel. They use a lower entry proof. You know, in American whiskeys and bourbon and rye and whatnot, a lot of them have a stipulation that says you can't enter the barrel at over 125 proof as it hits the barrel, but you can enter it lower, and proofs can rise or fall depending on climate. And Michters believes that entering at a lower proof brings out some more desirable characteristics in the whiskey. And having had this bottle, spoiler alert, I think they're right. So they put this in the barrel at a little bit lower proof. It ages for, I don't know, I bet this is 10 years or close to it. It looks like it. It doesn't taste young at all. And we get the whiskey that we get. And they really just done something special here. Like I said, I am not a rye guy, and good God, this whiskey. On the nose, this is exactly what I want. It's this rich, dense nose. You can smell the oils on the nose. The alcohol, the ethanol, basically not even there. It doesn't burn your nose. I can stick my nose straight in this thing and give it a good huff, and all I get is delicious. It's minty. There's some barrel char and some like black pepper influence. There's like so much of this strong herbal qualities, all these rye spices and a little hint of dill, I'm not a huge, the dill is what turns me off to rye normally, but it's so subtle here. It might actually be additive. I might actually like that little bit of dill here. And it kind of, same thing comes through on the palate, I think, that it's just very subtle. There's this like assertive, dark, rich sweetness on the nose. It's like toasted marshmallows and slightly burnt caramel. There's so much barrel char on this. It's like there's like 6 layers on the nose, 8 layers on the nose alone in the experience. You keep going back and it just evolves with each one. All right, first things first, let me say this. On the palate, this does not drink nearly as high proof as it is. There's definitely some heat and some pepper, but it is not like hot. It is not what I would call hot. It's not like drinking a barrel proof Jack Daniels or even like some of the Elijah Craig barrel proofs. It's not quite as high proof either, but it's very easy for the proof. And holy hell, the density of the flavor on this thing. Good Lord. Spicy. It's got all the baking spices and that mint comes through in droves. Same hint of dill, but it's just thickly coated, just thick, oily mouthfeel. There's a lot of vanilla present on the palate. Maybe a hint of cherry. Actually, go back for another sip there. The cherry is pretty strong. I get a little bit of like Werther's butterscotchy, just a little. More so, it's a salted caramel and barrel char. The oak is very present. You can taste the wood in this thing, but it's not bitter or tannic. It's just there. And it's not dry either. It's very oily, and it really feels pleasant and smooth and creamy in your mouth. It's very good. It's so full-bodied. So full-bodied. Go back again, and you keep going back, and with each mouthful it adjusts slightly. I get a little more sweetness and a little less of the herbal qualities as I go. But actually, the herbal qualities do kind of linger around longer. So in the finish, I mean, I'm still waiting for this thing. This thing goes forever. This thing lingers forever. That rich, oily mouthfeel just clings, it sticks, and it's just full of flavor. I mean, the oak and pepper stay forever, but the sweetness, that sweetness that came through in the second, third, fourth sips of the palate just rolls off the finish like water from a duck's back, and you're left with this beautiful, complex, like unfurling of all these heavy hitter rye flavors as they drop off one at a time over the duration here. It evolves so pleasantly. This is really good. This is a banger. I mean, overall, this is a banger. You guys have all heard me complain, or not complain, but make the proclamation that I don't go to bat for ryes a lot. There's a couple I don't mind, and there's a few I do like, but it's not a huge category for me. I mean, it goes so far as to that I don't usually love high rye bourbons. Some of them, there are some that I do like, but they need to be a little bit on the sweeter side for me if they're going to be high rye. This is a great one. This one really hits. It's still lingering. I'm still just enjoying the finish on this. It's so good. It's rich and it's complex. It's full of flavor. It's one of those whiskeys that's like challenging enough to nerd out on and discuss the flavors as they evolve and all that if you want. It's also friendly enough to relax with. Probably more of a fall winter whiskey, as the flavors are pretty heavy and spicy, and it reminds me a lot of like Christmas time, something like that. It's a very comforting kind of flavor profile, and I wouldn't say that this necessarily fits the fires of the summer sun quite so well, but it would still be good. I bet you this would be pretty decent on the rocks too, if you really wanted to. I don't know that I would do that, and this is why though. I mean, this whiskey is worth every penny of the $100 MSRP if you can find it for the $100 MSRP, which I could not. I did not go way over MSRP. I don't think I would suggest going way over MSRP just on principle alone, but this thing does go toe to toe with some $200 or more expensive bottles that I've had, right? So, I mean, shit, I've had, you know, I've tasted whiskeys, you know, I've bought a shot of whiskey or a pour of whiskey at the bar before that would equate to a $500 or $600 bottle, a slew of them that I would say this is better than. So, like, that's a real thing, right? This is really good. So, if you like ryes and you don't mind, man, I swallowed in the middle of that and sounded a little bit like Christopher Walken. So, if you like ryes, you don't mind dropping a couple of dollars. That's a terrible Christopher Walken. Sorry, but it reminded me of Christopher Walken. Anyway, so if you like ryes, you don't mind spending a couple bucks, this is a great one to go in on. You might have to search for it though. This is so outside of what I usually think of Michters as. I love me some Michters, right? Michters American. I have some of the Michters bourbon. I have some of the regular single barrel Michters rye here, and it's all really good, but it's all like just this smooth, easy sipper, very not challenging, very, I would say, not complex. It's just pleasant. Pour it in a glass and relax kind of whiskey. This is so complex and it's so good. I mean, it is like 4 times the cost of some of those bottles, so I guess it should be considerably better, but it is that thing. It is considerably better. I'm struggling to think of a rye I've had that even comes close to this. I mean, the 1776 barrel proof is decent, but it doesn't hold a candle to this, and that's like $70, I think. Man, I can't think of any ryes that I've had that are even close. Rare breed rye is good. Rare breed rye is a really good option. It's a lot less than this. I don't think it's anywhere near as good as this, but it's way more affordable. It's tough. I don't think I've had anything that comes close to this in the rye category. This is really fantastic. And with that, thanks for tuning in. You know the drill. You send your questions to me at barrelhousepodcast@gmail.com. If you want a direct interaction with me, you can find your invite to the Earglue Media Discord at eargluemedia.com/Discord. Be sure to rate and review the show on iTunes. It makes a huge difference. Get all your social media links and everything else you could possibly want from me, anything you could want from me, at barrelhousepodcast.com. And of course, you can support the show at patreon.com/barrelhouse. And I thank all of you who have supported the show because you are freaking awesome and you make this happen. This bottle wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for the support from Patreon. Those of you who can't support me or have not chosen to make the leap yet, you can also support the show by telling a friend or telling many friends or taking their phone from their hand by force and subscribing to the show, and you tell them that if they unsubscribe, they'll be hell to pay. That's all I got though. Thank you so much for coming by, and until next time, may the worst of your days to come rival the best of those gone by. Take care. The Barrel House is written, produced, and hosted by Joe Kane, and it's a proud member of the Earglue Media Network. Views and opinions expressed on this show belong only to the mouth they came out of, and as always, please remember to drink responsibly. Slàinte Mhaith.